fancy meeting you in.
Excuse me.
Done your homework, have you? Hope so, because I got the law on my side now.
Oi!
Officer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cope.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. They're one of the best firms around and they know exactly what they're doing.
I've been stuck on a bus, Sarge. I had a puncture and I couldn't get the wheel nuts off. I've been sat on a 37...
That's all right.
If you'll excuse me.
Don't worry, we'll fill you in.
Yeah, well, I could do with the overtime anyway.
He's got his favourites, hasn't he?
Oh, boys, spare a minute. Right? Go on, then. Well, come on, Rich, we haven't got all day. Oh, well, no, of course not. Thing is, I need someone the same height as me, you see. It's all for charity. Dave, how do you fancy being my partner in a three-legged cross-country race, eh? Hollis! You can let me know later, all right? Yes, Sarge.
Keep your backside in here, will you, Hollis?
Oh, right you are, Sarge. Just a bit of Federation business. Have you done any running at all, Sarge?
Sierra Oscar from 577 receiving. Over.
Go ahead, Barry.
Look, I'm going to be off the air for a couple of minutes. I want to give the Sopwith Street multi-story a once-over.
No problem. Any particular reason, over?
Nothing special, Sarge. It's a good place for car theft, and it's nice and quiet now, too.
Right, it's a strike today, and Mrs. Adams. She knows her stuff, apparently, but she won't do you any favours.
Right.
Now then, here's the good news.
What's that?
CPS have just sprung on us that Hopkins is bringing some sort of expert along on the effects of mouthwash on the intoximeter.
What?
That's how they're contesting it, apparently, according to our brief.
But that's rubbish. She never touched any mouthwash.
You know that, I know that.
No, I was with him all the time.
Lucky you.
How do they think they're going to pull that one off?
He doesn't.
But his brief does. Now, the Hopkins have got dosh, haven't they? Enough dosh to get the best solicitors that money can buy. You have been warned.
Someone wants a word, Narika.
You reckon, Sarge? Bit of rough on the side?
What you about the case, Mr. Cope? I'm a witness too.
But that's just the point. I've been told I won't be required after all.
Have you?
Now that Hopkins has admitted careless driving, the Crown are going to drop the charge of dangerous driving.
Yeah, of course.
So, I'm not needed. Seems that running into the back of me at, 50-odd miles an hour isn't dangerous at all.
Well, it's called reckless driving nowadays, Mr. Cope, and you're absolutely right, I'm afraid. That's the CPS for you. If it's not cast iron, they'll drop it.
Why?
Look, Mr. Cope, there weren't any witnesses, were there?
Oh, what about me? I was there. Oh. They think I'm past it. They think I wouldn't be a very reliable witness.
Well, I'm afraid that's probably why.
I see. And he doesn't even admit he'd been drinking.
Can you do me a PNC check on a green Ford Estate, registration Tango Romeo Delta 476 Yankee? Apparently it's been abandoned in Elverton Avenue. Okay, hold on.
Sierra Oscar 487.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm just cutting through the mark.
Oi, mate. Stay right where you are. That's your car, is it? Is it, eh? Oh, you can't fool me with that one, so...
Sierra Oscar from 577. Urgent assistance. Sopwith Street multi-story. Level 6. 2 males on foot. Violent. I've been assaulted.
Sierra 1, Sierra Oscar
Yes, an
85,
ambulance
go
to
to the
Sopwith
area of
Street
Sopwith Street
multi-storey
multi-story car
Yeah,
park.
Sopwith
2
Street.
suspects on foot,
Yeah, cool.
male, violent.
Hang on a minute.
An officer has been assaulted.
Sarge, which floor is that?
6th floor.
That's the 6th floor. Quick as you can,
We're on
please.
our way.
I'm in Fawcett Gardens, about 2 minutes away. I'm going to make sure Barry's okay.
Right, George, stay with him till the ambulance gets there. 577 from Sierra Oscar. Ambulance will be with you in a couple of minutes.
Any more details on the suspects, over?
Yeah. The kid who was trying to get into the car. He had a hooded sweatshirt on. It was yellow, I think. Fair head.
Repeat, fair hair and a hooded sweatshirt, probably yellow.
I wouldn't bet on it. He'd have had that shirt in the first bin he could find. feel like I walked into an iron bar.
Well, the ambulance is on its way, mate. What about the car?
What about it?
Was it damaged or anything?
I've got the foggiest. I'll tell you something else, though. I couldn't.
Yeah, I know. You don't care. I can't say I blame you.
Gently does it, Steve.
Get it, Webb.
Easy. Go. Just hold it there, please, mate.
Hey, what are you doing?
Sorry, love.
No, not me. Evening all.
You're disgusting, Terry.
Who's the old codger in the neck brace?
Oh, it's Mr. Cope. Don't you remember? He's the one Hopkins went into the back of.
No.
Billy broke his neck.
You do it on your side.
Well, what's he doing here then, Cope? Is he giving evidence or what?
Nah, not anymore. I think he just wants to see how it turns out. See justice done.
Make a nice change.
For Crown versus Hopkins to court number 1.
You're on, kid.
Here we go.
Good luck.
PC Datta.
Absolutely nothing to worry about, Mr. Hopkins. We'll be through in about half an hour.
Ah, sorry. Wish I had. Yellow, eh?
Yeah. Keep an eye out for me, Jeff, will you?
Of course I will. Always keep an eye out for you, darling.
Thinking of buying a new shirt?
Yeah.
Lose your last one, did you?
Yeah. I mean, no. It's not, innit?
Can you tell me why you're out of breath? Sierra Oscar 487. Oi! Stop! Police! Come here! See you in the mail. I see one.
On your feet, mate. You're welcome. Left your sweatshirt somewhere, have we? Come on.
It's a bottle of mouthwash, sir.
Good. I'm glad you recognise it.
I meant I knew what it was, not
Oh,
that...
that'll do, officer. The court heard your answer. If I could move now to the weather on the night in question, would you describe it for us?
It was raining.
Yes, raining. To avoid taxing your memory further, officer, I'd like to remind you that it was a November evening around 9 o'clock. Dark beyond question. Furthermore, as I'm sure your notes will confirm, there is no street lighting in that part of Dell Street where the incident occurred. A gloomy picture altogether, wouldn't you agree?
Our car had its lights on, sir.
I don't recall asking you whether it did, officer.
What I mean is...
I know what you mean, officer. What I don't know is the answer to my question.
You must answer the defence's question, officer. Was it a dark and rainy, gloomy evening, or was it not?
It was, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd imagine that your vehicle would have had its lights on, officer. It's against the law not to, is it not?
Yes, sir. So I could see right into his car.
Oh, really, officer? When you got out of your own vehicle? And how was that? Did you crouch all the way to Mr. Hopkins' car?
No, sir, but...
Good, I'm glad to hear it. So what do you estimate to be the distance between your vehicle and that of the defendant? Please try and confine yourself to the facts. Yes, officer?
About 10 metres.
So there certainly would have been a few seconds, the time it took you to walk 10 metres, when you couldn't see what the defendant was doing in his car, when he might have been using a mouthwash, thus seriously affecting the intoximeter test for all you were aware.
He never used a...
You will do better if you answer the questions asked, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
So was there a period of time when you did not observe the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
If you'd just like to check that the details are correct and sign here.
You've got the wrong bloke. I've done nothing.
Just sign, please. And now empty your pockets.
What?
Come on, you heard, empty your pockets.
And what might these be for?
Oh, there you are. 2 of theft from a motor vehicle and 3 of taken without the owner's consent, but nothing violent.
Till now.
Oh, come on, the kid's terrified he wouldn't harm a fly.
I'm not saying he has, but his mate smacked Barry, didn't he?
If it was Blakely's mate...
So what are you saying? Either he's witness to an assault or he's part of it. In any case, we can get him for going equipped, can't we?
I suppose so.
You describe my client as mucking about in your notes, officer.
That's right, sir.
Acting the fool? That sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
As if he didn't realise the potential seriousness of what he'd done?
He got out of the car and was larking about when I came over to him. He seemed to think it was all a bit of a laugh.
I see. And this led you to believe that he'd been drinking?
Yes, sir, it did. But I would have breathalyzed him anyway after an accident like that.
Quite. So you didn't need to smell his breath?
No, sir. I mean,
Yes?
I would have noticed if he'd used a mouthwash.
How, officer?
Well...
You've just told this court that you didn't smell my client's breath. The accident and his behaviour were quite enough to justify using the breathalyzer, according to you. So for all you're aware, Mr. Hopkins could have used his mouthwash after the accident, seriously affected the intoximeter reading at the station, and you would not or could not have been any the wiser. Correct, officer? Am I correct, officer?
You've got the wrong bloke.
So why'd you run away?
Because I knew you'd find out I had form.
And blame you for something you hadn't done, you mean? Blame you for what, Derek?
Look, chum, we got an officer in casualty who'll be coming back here in a minute to identify you as having assaulted him. Savvy?
I never.
That'll be quite a stretch, what with your previous. But the courts don't like it when coppers get beaten up.
I never touched him.
Not to mention theft from a motor vehicle.
I didn't even get it open.
Oh. But you were there, weren't you, eh? Well, you've told us that now. It's all down in Dolby Stereo.
Why don't you sit down, Derek?
You can start by telling us who your mate was. You keep that up and your hand will fall off.
We're trying to help you, Derek.
He's a nutter. You don't know him, but he's...
This mate of yours, you're frightened of him, aren't you?
I swear by mighty God, the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
PC stand.
Look, I know he's frightened.
He needs reassurance, Dave.
Yeah, but I think he's frightened of going down for assaulting a police officer.
What about the other bloke? Did you see Blakely's face when I asked about him?
Yes, but I don't
It's obviously
think...
fear of him
Now,
stopping-
children. Right, Dave. Oh, listen, made your mind up yet about the three-legged
Yeah,
bloke?
not
now, Reg, yeah? Oh, no,
Do you mind, Reg?
Excuse me.
If Blakely really is frightened of this other bloke, who we know is violent, yeah? Then no amount of pressure's going to get the name out of him.
So what are you saying?
We need to let him know that he's not going to get his head kicked
What,
in.
protection? Well, there's no way. I mean, he's in the frame himself, isn't he?
I know that. We just need to reassure him that he's not going to get beaten up, right?
Yeah, and how do we do that?
I think we should have a word with CID.
Oh, you're joking. Good luck.
Sergeant Peters to court number 1.
Officer, is everything okay?
Piece of cake.
Sergeant Peters.
Yes.
What is it you want from me? Look, the man is still using his credit card, so he is not a missing person. I mean, it stands to reason.
Oh, Mike.
Look, will you do me a favour?
Could you just help out?
No can do, sorry. I shouldn't even be here.
This is important,
Yeah,
right?
so's
this. Try Viv. She's down in the
You've been
canteen.
on this inquiry 3 times this week.
Save us a slice. Hello, Kat.
I really need you right now.
Oh, I haven't heard that in a while.
I've got one of the blokes involved in the assault on Stringer, but he's too frightened to give us the name of the actual assailant. I'd be okay if I didn't have Dave Quinnan going at him like a bull in a china shop.
Oh, what's new? Huh?
If I could just tell this Blakely that he wasn't going to get his head kicked in, then we might get the name of the real villain.
For protection, you mean?
Something, I don't know.
Yeah, all right, I'll have a word with him. Anything to get one over on Dave Quinnan, eh?
Thought you'd been released.
I have. No car, remember? Still stuck on the side of the A40.
Of course. I'll give you a lift once we're all done here. There's coffee down here.
I fancy hot chocolate.
Are you all right?
Yeah?
It's just that you seem a bit...
It's all a bit of a joke, Tony, isn't it? On a bad day.
What do you mean?
I mean, Who wins? Do we really care after all? To CPS? Even Terry Hopkins doesn't care much. In fact, the only person that does care is Mr. Cope. And he's the last thing on anyone's mind.
Yeah, but he's not.
Their brief's clever. He manages to trick me into saying exactly what he wants me to say. It doesn't matter, does it? Until the next time Terry gets tanked up and goes for a burn and sinks his lovely motor into something softer than a car. And then what? He'll get his brief to prove he was possessed by demons or something. It's a joke.
It's not over yet, Norika.
Might as well be.
He's crazy. Well, you don't know him, but he hates you lot. Something to do with his brother.
Take it easy, Derek.
And he's got a shooter.
What?
Well, he says he has. I told you he did the sub-post office in West Norwood.
Look, hang on a minute.
And he said he'd fix me if I didn't nick a motor for him.
All right, Derek.
No one's going to hurt you here, Derek.
Look, it's the name we need. Then we can make sure that he won't hurt you.
I want a deal. I want protection.
I'll have a word with my governor. See what we can do.
Mind if I join you?
Be my guest. That bad, eh?
We're late, Gov.
Can't we just say that we'll pick up this other bloke in a way that doesn't make it look as if Blakely's grasped on him?
And how are we going to do that, then? He's just smacked a wooden top on the nose right in front of his mate Blakely. Who's going to think's grassed him up? Captain Kirk?
But Blakely's terrified of him.
So?
Well, we know he's violent. Stringer's got a broken nose. And we can get his name if we can just put Blakely's mind at rest.
Come on, Gov. Hang on a minute. All right, so Blakely is terrified of this fella.
Yes, petrified.
Tell him he'll be okay. Tell him this slag won't lay a finger on him. He has my word.
Thanks, Governor.
Of course he won't lay a finger on him. They'll both be banged up, won't they?
So, if you just turn to your book of evidence, the book 116, I believe, Sergeant.
That is correct, sir.
And read question 4B to me.
Right. If there is any cause to suspect that the person may have been using a mouthwash or spray, the following question should be asked. Have you used a mouthwash or spray in the last 20 minutes?
And his reply, Sergeant?
There isn't one, sir. I didn't ask.
I see.
I didn't have cause to suspect he'd been using a mouthwash.
And why not?
I'd have smelt it.
I see. Tell me, Sergeant, are you familiar with the odour of all brands of mouthwash?
No, of course not. Well, they all smell the same, don't they?
Yes, Sergeant, in a sense they do. Because the one thing that most of them have in common is alcohol. 15% in this one, the same as a strong beer.
But I'd have smelt it.
Smelt what? Alcohol. Just what you would have expected to smell.
No.
No?
I mean, yes, but...
Thank you, Sergeant. I think you've made yourself perfectly clear.
Terry, we'll be out by opening time.
If we could turn now to the time of the arrest.
So I'll be all right, then?
He's not going to hurt you. That's what my inspector said.
Because it wasn't me that hit him, was it?
It wasn't you, Derek. No.
That's what PC Stringer said.
All we need now is his name. Then you can stop being frightened of him.
Yeah.
Come on, Derek.
All right. It's Williams. Darren Williams.
It all felt like some sort of game in there today. A game of may the best brief win. The truth didn't enter into it.
Wily solicitors, building up webs of lies to catch poor police officers.
Well, yeah.
Please, Ashrange.
It's not over yet, mind. How come you didn't go in and watch then?
Too many memories. I used to be a solicitor.
You?
One merely represents a client.
Yeah, but...
And if he's lying, it is one's unfortunate duty to represent that lie to the best of one's ability. It's not the perfect system, but it beats a ducking stool in a pond.
Well, I hope you're right, Mr. Cope.
There is a saying, the truth will out. In my experience, it almost always does. Even for the laughing Mr. Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm afraid it is all a bit of a laugh to him.
You're right. Even after the accident, would you believe? You could see him laughing in the rear-view mirror.
Wait a minute. You saw him?
All of which implies that my client had used his mouthwash. Indeed, used it and swallowed it, as is the custom amongst some young people, in the 20 minutes preceding his intoximeter test. Sadly, you failed to observe this, didn't you, Sergeant?
He had not used a mouthwash, in my opinion, sir.
No further questions, Sergeant.
I would like to call another witness, Mum.
Better not say I've been talking to you.
Don't worry. I know the ropes.
Mr. Cope.
Good girl. You run this through the magic box.
Yeah, this Williams character's got no previous at all. But the name and address Blakely gave us check out okay.
Darren Williams.
Yeah.
Well, there's always a first time. Thanks a lot, Viv. Michael, James, my office, 5 minutes for a briefing.
Oh, Governor.
I thought you wanted to go home early this evening.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go then. See you tomorrow.
Oh.
You're not seriously asking this court to believe that you never took your eyes off the defendant from the time of the accident until he was breathalyzed?
I am, sir.
But you didn't even blink?
I did, sir. Doesn't take long to blink.
And what on earth could have possessed you to rivet your eyes upon my client for that length of time?
I couldn't move my neck. It was agony. As the car came to rest, my neck felt as if it were broken. So I held it as still as possible, and I looked in my rear-view mirror to see who had hit me. And when I saw him laughing, actually laughing under those circumstances, I kept looking at him so that I would remember his face. That's why I kept looking at your client, sir, and that's why I know he didn't use a mouthwash.
Are you absolutely sure you want to call your medical expert, Mr. Carter?
I'd like to confer with my client, please, ma'am.
I really appreciate this, sir. Thanks.
Always do with another pair of hands.
Yeah, well, I could have got a name out of Blakely myself if I'd been left alone.
Yeah, I know how it is. Martella wanted me to set up some sort of deal with him.
Oh, yeah?
So I did one. It's called a raw deal.
And this court accepts your revised plea of guilty to the charge of driving with excess alcohol. However, under the circumstances, this court will fine you £500 for this offence and disqualify you for 2 years.
I should have hit you harder, shouldn't I?
Quiet!
I'd watch what you say, Mr. Hopkins. You'll be seeing Mr. Cope in the civil courts, I shouldn't wonder, facing a sizable claim for damages.